Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
The precursor to I Love Lucy. My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball and Richard Denning. This episode originally broadcast on May 27th, 1949. Liz is going in the hospital, but she doesn't know it yet.
It's time for My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball.
Jello, everybody.
Yes, it's the new Gay Family series starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning. Brought to you by the Jello family of desserts.
J-E-L-L. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jello family. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jello family. That's Jello.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jello puddings.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jello tapioca puddings. Yes, sirree.
And now Lucille Ball with Richard Denning as Liz and George Cooper. Two people who live together and like it. In every marriage, there is one member of the weaker sex and one of the stronger. The stronger member does the protecting, looking after the frailer, more delicate partner. Well, as we look in on the Coopers, it's early morning, and the more delicate member of the family is still in bed, tucked under the covers. And the strong one has just gotten up, closed the window, turned on the heat, and is now standing at the foot of the bed.
The room's warm. You can get up now, George.
Oh.
Come on now, dear. It's 7:30. Get up.
Oh, I don't think I'll get up this morning.
All right, George. You just stay there in bed, and I'll have Mr. Atterbury bring the bank out here.
I don't feel good, Liz. I'm sick. I can't go to the bank today.
Okay, let's have it. Who are you playing golf with?
Honest, Liz, I'm really sick.
Well, darling, what seems to be the matter?
Oh, well, for one thing, every time I move, I get a sharp pain in my back. Oh, there it is again.
Oh, where do you mean, dear? Show me.
It's right back here. Oh.
So that's where my curler went.
Fine place to have a curler.
I'm sorry. I lost 2 of them last night. Show me, George, which vertebrae has the Tony?
Very funny. Oh, my throat's sore, too. I can hardly swallow. Oh.
Let me see your throat.
No.
Oh, don't be such a baby. Let me see your throat. Maybe I can find my other curler.
Oh, my throat.
Oh, George, don't pay any attention to it. My throat's a little sore every morning.
Yeah, well, that's because you talk so much.
Well.
Oh, why don't you just go away and leave me alone? Oh.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you felt so bad. Would you like to have breakfast in bed?
Well, all right. Just some warm milk and dry toast. Nothing more.
Nothing more, huh?
I doubt if I can choke that down.
Well, you stay under the covers and keep warm. I'll go see about your breakfast.
Oh, I feel awful.
Katie! Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Mrs. Cooper.
I'd like a tray to take up to Mr. Cooper.
Well, is he sick?
Yes, he's deathly ill and may be gone before I get back upstairs.
Oh, he's got a little cold, huh?
Yes. You know how George is. 1 sniffle, he's got the flu. 2 sniffles, he's got pneumonia. And 3 sniffles, he's going to leave his body to science.
Well, men are such babies when they're sick. My first husband, Clarence, was like that. First he thought he had a cold, then he thought he had pneumonia, and then we buried him.
Buried him?
Yes, he thought he was dead.
Oh, Katie. Well, I don't know if George is faking or not. All he wants for breakfast is some warm milk and dry toast.
Liz?
Yes, dear?
I think I could swallow a little coffee to go with that milk and toast.
Oh, all right, dear. He thinks he can swallow a little coffee, too.
Yes, ma'am, some coffee.
Liz!
Yes, George?
Maybe I could force down a little bacon with that coffee and milk and buttered toast.
How'd that toast get buttered? Well, all right, dear. He can force down a little bacon, Katie.
Yes, ma'am. How much?
4 slices.
Apparently, baby is able to sit up and take a little nourishment.
Liz!
Yes, dear. Sunny side up or scrambled?
Scrambled.
George, are you sure you want bacon, eggs, toast, coffee, and warm milk? Aren't you too sick to eat all that?
Yeah, you're right, I am. You better forget the warm milk.
I thought so. Well, you certainly did all right with that breakfast, George.
Well, I'm feeling a little better.
Well, then maybe you can get up and go to work.
Oh, my throat.
Oh, your throat, my foot.
Honest, Liz, I got a bad sore throat. A guy can still be hungry.
All right, Camille. I'll call Dr. Stevenson.
No, now, there's no need to waste money on a doctor, Liz. I'll be all right.
Now, George, you're not going to be a baby about having a doctor, are you? What'll Uncle Wobill say?
Never mind being smart.
Look, George, either you're sick and I'll call the doctor, or you're well and you'll get up and go to work. Now, let's see. It's early. I'll call him at home. That's funny. There's no dial tone.
Hey, who else is on the phone, huh? Whoever else is on, will you please hang up, big ears?
Darn it, that Brooklyn blabbermouth is on our party line as usual. And she's liable to stay on there all day.
Yeah.
I always tell her there's something wrong with you and I want to get her off the line. Well, this time it's true. Hello, are you still using the phone?
No. No, the receiver's stuck to my ear and I can't get it off. Do you mind hanging yourself up, please?
Look, let me use the phone for a minute. It's an emergency.
Always with you, it's an emergency. What is it? Were you touching up your hair and ran out of mercurochrome?
Miss, my husband is sick. I want to call the doctor.
Well, what is it this time, hey? A broken arm like yesterday or a broken leg like the day before?
We think it may be his appendix.
His appendix? You told me he just had it out last week. What are you going to do, put it back in again? Or has he got it on a string like a yo-yo?
Look, I'll ask you once more. Will you let me use the phone? I have an important call to make.
Well, I happen to be making an important call myself.
I don't hear anyone else on the line.
Naturally. I haven't decided yet which important call I'm going to make.
Oh. I'll be right back, George. I'm going next door and call the doctor. Right this way, Dr. Stevenson. Here's the doctor, George.
Well, how's the Liz, am I too late?
No, he's hiding under the sheet. He pulled it over his head himself. Come on out, George. We know where you are.
Hello, doctor. I never felt better in my life.
Well, Liz told me you had a pretty sore throat, George.
Go ahead, doctor. Examine him. Poke one of those long white sticks down his throat.
Now, George, open wide and say ah.
Mm-mm.
Liz, come on. You'll have to help me.
Oh, he's an impossible baby. George.
Now hold your mouth open while I slip this stick between his teeth.
Oh, I got it.
There we are.
Oh.
George, open your mouth. I want to take the stick out.
Mm-mm.
Well, at least open it long enough to spit out my fingers. Oh, boy, what a bite.
Oh, I'm afraid it's no use, Liz.
George, you're wasting Dr. Stevenson's time and our money. Now, there's nothing to letting him look down your throat. Here, I'll let him do it to me. You just open your mouth like this.
And I look down your throat like this.
See, George, there's nothing to it. Now let him...
Just a minute, Liz.
What?
Let me look down your throat again.
What for?
I want to take another look.
Look, he's your patient, Doctor. Just take care of him. Give him some medicine. Give him a shot.
There's nothing wrong with him, Liz. Let me look at your throat.
Well, goodbye, Doctor. Thanks a lot for coming over.
You come back here. Open up.
Oh.
Liz, I told you this would happen someday. Your tonsils don't look good.
Well, that's all right. Hardly anybody ever sees them.
You have a very bad throat. I'll have to operate first thing in the morning.
Operate? Tomorrow morning? And you want me there?
Well, as long as we're taking out your tonsils, it'll make it easier.
Well, all right. Oh, I can't make it tomorrow morning, Doctor. I just remembered I'm seeing someone off on a train.
Who?
Me.
Never mind that, young lady. I'll make the arrangements with the hospital, and I'll see you in the morning.
May 27th, 1949, My Favorite Husband on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball and Richard Denning, May 27th, 1949.
Liz is going to the hospital this morning to have her tonsils out, and we find her in surprisingly gay spirits.
Liz, I thought you were going to pack. Why are you sitting on the edge of the bed staring out into space? We'll be late.
I was just thinking, George. I've had these tonsils all my life, and this is the first time they've been bad. I ought to give them another chance. They mean well.
Now, stop that. They're coming out this morning.
Oh, you're so brave with my operation. Would you mind leaving the room, George? I'd like these last few minutes alone with my tonsils.
Now, cut it out.
Oh, don't say that in front of them.
Are you going to pack, or shall I pack for you?
I'll pack. Let's see, I'll take my, Oh, dear. Call the doctor. I can't go to the hospital today.
Why not?
I haven't got a thing to wear.
Now, Liz.
But, George, all I have is that old bed jacket I wore last year when I had my appendix out, and all the nurses have seen me in it.
Pack it.
Oh, it's so old. I wouldn't be caught dead in that. Oh, what a thought.
Now, don't worry about how you look. They'll give you the latest style in hospital gowns.
Oh, keen. A stunning gown of white muslin cut fingertip length with a bare back riff.
Come on, quit stalling.
I'm not stalling, George. Honest, I'm dying to go to the hospital. Oh, I said it again.
Liz, the longer you sit around brooding, the worse it'll be. Now, let's go.
No, I'm not going to move until you call Dr. Stevenson.
Well, why not?
Well, I read that there's only one hospital bed for every 3 patients, and I want to know who those other 2 people in bed with me are.
Now, don't be ridiculous.
Well, I'm not going till you call. Maybe he couldn't get a room.
All right, I'll call him.
Wouldn't it be a shame if that blabbermouth was still on the line?
Well, she can't talk all the time.
And what do you think, Melanie?
I beg your pardon.
wait a minute, Melly. The uninvited guest is here. What happened, Big Ears? Your voice is changing.
You don't understand. My wife is Big Ears.
Well, thanks a lot.
Tell me, Mr. Ears, how's your broken leg, your fractured arm, your sprained ankle, and your appendix that's such a hard loser?
What?
Oh, forget it, George. She hasn't got the decency to hang up when someone's sick.
Miss, it's my wife. I have to take her to the hospital for an operation.
Oh, why didn't you say so? I'll hang up right away.
Anyone with any consideration would get off the phone.
Well, she did. She hung up.
She hung up?
Yes.
What a rotten thing to do. George, don't drive so fast.
I'm getting you to that hospital. We're late.
But you're going over the speed limit.
Don't worry, there isn't a cop within 100 miles of here.
No cops, huh?
What a mess. This is going to make us later than ever.
Pull over the curb, buddy!
George. George, if he arrested us, I wouldn't be able to get to the hospital at all, would I?
Now, don't start anything. You just keep quiet and let me handle this dumb flatfoot. Well, I am terribly sorry, sir, but I think I can...
No, don't try to alibi, George. Officer, we were speeding. Do your duty and take us to jail.
Liz!
I'm not going to take you to jail, lady. All I do is give you a ticket.
For hit-and-run driving?
What?
Officer, she doesn't know what's...
I can't stand it any longer. This running away, this hiding from the long arm of the law. Why do you think we were speeding, officer? This is a hot car.
Oh, it is?
And not only that, but you'll find the real owner stuffed in the trunk. What is it, pear-shaped?
Officer, she's hysterical. I'm taking her to the hospital for an operation. That's why I was speeding.
Oh, well, in that case, go ahead.
Oh, thanks.
Well, George, I guess you were right when you said you could handle this dumb flatfoot.
Huh? What did he call me?
A dumb flatfoot. What are you going to do about it?
Nothing. I am a dumb flatfoot.
What?
I must be. I've been a rookie for 30 years.
Oh, great. With all the bulls on the force, I had to pick Ferdinand.
Hey, look, mister, you're in a hurry to get to the hospital? Follow me. I'll clear the way.
Oh.
All right, Mr. Bunker, take room 602. Your doctor will be up in a minute. Now then, what can I do for you?
Oh, nothing. We're just browsing.
Dr. Stevenson made arrangements. The name is Cooper.
Oh, yes. Tonsillectomy?
No, Elizabeth.
Liz. The name is Mrs. George Cooper. I'll handle this, Liz. You'd better go up to your room. You're a little nervous.
I am not. I'm not nervous at all.
Well, you go on up to room 506. But before you go, just sign this application here.
What's there to be nervous about, for heaven's sake? There you are.
Oh, just a minute. Is this your signature? Mrs. George Tonsil?
Oh, well, I guess I am nervous. It isn't every day I have my Coopers out.
Well, honey, this isn't too bad. It's pretty cozy for a hospital room, don't you think?
Yes, it's nice and cheerful. Gray walls with a black trim.
Now you're going to be fine. And you've got a nice roommate, too. You'll keep an eye on her, won't you, Mrs. Benson?
Now, don't worry. I'll keep her spirits up until she goes.
Until I go?
Oh, to the operating room. And I'll be waiting for her if she comes back.
Tell me, Mrs. Odell, how's Digger these days?
My name is Benson.
Oh.
Yeah, she means well, Liz. How's the bed, honey? Comfortable?
Oh, yes, soft as a feather. See?
Well, it's healthy to sleep on a hard mattress.
Oh, sure.
You want me to crank up the foot of the bed a little higher?
No, thanks. It's all right. Don't bother.
Oh, it's no bother.
Don't fight it, dear. Visitors will crank your bed up every time.
Say when, Liz.
Oh, that's fine, George. Thank you, George. When, George?
Are your legs too high, dear?
No, I always lie with my head between my knees like this.
There, that's better. Mrs. Benson, would you like me to crank you up?
No, thanks. I've had my handles removed. I always do that. Once someone cranked me up too fast and I got a bad case of the bends.
Well, okay. I'll be right back, Liz. I'm going to see if I can find Dr. Stevenson anyplace.
All right, George. What are you in for, Mrs. Benson?
No, I'm just here for my yearly checkup. I have one every 6 months.
May 27th, 1949, Lucille Ball, Richard Denning, and B. Benadera there, My Favorite Husband on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball and Richard Denning, May 27th, 1949.
A yearly checkup every 6 months? How come?
That's how sick I am.
Oh. Well, what did they find?
Nothing, darn it. Oh, these doctors. I know I have something terrible wrong with me, but they can't find it.
I should have that trouble. What was that nurse spraying? Sweet air to keep the room smelling nice?
Oh, no. That's a special concoction they spray every half hour to keep the place smelling like a hospital.
That's how they do it, huh?
Tell me, dear, what have you got?
I have to have my tonsils out.
Oh, tonsils. Why, there's nothing to that operation. It's very minor.
Yes, it's nothing at all.
Did you have more than one doctor check them?
Oh, no.
Well, they're your tonsils. But if I were you, I'd have at least 2 other doctors check them.
Oh, well, Dr. Stevenson is one of the best men in the city.
Once you're on that table, it's so long, Charlie.
Well, he did take just a peek.
I had this identical conversation with the woman across the hall in 509. Have 2 other doctors check, I said, but she wouldn't listen to me. That's her. She sounds much better. Better? Compared to this morning, she's laughing.
That does it. I'm getting out of here. Where'd they put my clothes?
They keep them in a locker down the hall.
Well, I'll find them. See you later, Mary Sunshine.
Honey.
Yeah?
Hold your gown closed.
Oh. Where would that locker be?
Just a minute here. What are you doing out of bed?
Well, I'll tell you, nurse. Being in bed all day makes you want to sort of get up and jump around.
Yes, well, you shouldn't be jumping around in your condition. Now, you go right in there and get back in bed.
Oh, wait a minute. Not in there. That's the wrong room.
No, it isn't. You're Mrs. Johnson, aren't you?
No, I'm, is Mrs. Johnson having her tonsils out?
No, Mrs. Johnson is almost ready to go home.
Shake hands with Mrs. Johnson.
You're certainly acting funny. I'll have to ask your regular nurse about you.
Oh, well, I'll be all right now.
Oh, good. Now, get in bed. Yes, there we are. Now, I have a visitor for you.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to see any visitors.
Oh, nonsense. I'll bring him right in.
Oh, great. If it's Mr. Johnson, he's going to have a surprise of his life.
Here we are, Mrs. Johnson. Here he is.
Oh, no, it's a baby.
Why, certainly, Mrs. Johnson. He's yours.
Well, take him away.
Why?
Well, they shouldn't allow a little baby like that in a hospital. It might catch something.
Well, we're very careful. My, he's a big, beautiful boy. And his hair is red, just like yours.
Now, where would a baby like that get a henna rinse?
Tell me, Mrs. Johnson, does he look like his father?
You got me.
Well, here, take him.
I don't want him.
Why, Mrs. Johnson, he's been lying in the nursery all day, and now he wants to come to you for a change.
Well, why didn't they do that before he left the nursery? Look, nurse, he's cute, but I've got troubles of my own.
Well, I'm sorry, but I have other things to do. I'll be back later. Here.
No, wait a minute. Oh, this is swell. You think you've got troubles. I have to convince George that you're a tonsil.
Liz, there you are. What are you doing in here?
George, before you start anything, I've got something to tell you.
Liz! A baby?
The patient is regaining consciousness, doctor.
Oh, fine. And let me take a look.
The worst is over, isn't it, doctor?
Yes, it was just a case of shock. George will be all right. Now, come on, Liz. Let's take your tonsils out.
You have been listening to My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning, and based on characters created by Isabel Scott Rorick. Tonight's program was produced and directed by Jess Oppenheimer, who wrote the script with Madeline Pugh and Bob Carroll Jr. Original music was composed by Marlon Skiles and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The part of Katie the Maid was played by Ruth Parrott. Lucille Ball will soon be seen in the Paramount picture Sorrowful Jones. Be sure to listen to Lucille Ball in My Favorite Husband next week. Bob Lamont speaking.
May 27th, 1949, My Favorite Husband on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
It's a big, bold story set in the heartland of America, along the edge of Lonely Mountain. I am open for business. And so Big William Gorgon, played by handsome Michael James, fiercely set down his Midwest roots.
Oh, darling, we're going to sell bathrobes and raise chickens.
Set his adoring wife, Wilhelmina, portrayed by beautiful Glenda Olsen.
Oh, I love our store, Will.
But they hadn't counted on Big Ralph's bathrobes and cattle store coming to town.
Oh, Will, what will we do, Will?
Will had a plan, a way of facing off against tough Big Ralph. We're going to change the face of America. We're going to advertise.
For what?
With print, broadcasting, and bus benches, we're going to tell people who we are and where we are.
What's a bus?
And so the story of how one man brought advertising to the heartland.
Oh, will it work?
It will. Well, my name ain't Will, Wilhelmina. You got to advertise or we'll die. And so the greatest marketing story of all time is here. Advertise or die, dopey.
Put your message on this national advertising platform. Email classicradiotheater@gmail.com. classicradiotheater@gmail.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of the soap opera Claudia from May 27th, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Dum, 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 dum. Oh, Gertrude, don't bother to clean up here in Mr. Norton's study this morning. And oh, Gertrude, just anything for lunch. Did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. You said just anything for luncheon.
Did I? I must have been crazy. That would hardly be the thing for Mr. Norton. Let's see. David, what would you like for luncheon?
What'd you say?
I said, what would you like for luncheon?
Just anything.
Like you said, Mrs. Norton. Kidneys is good.
Ugh.
I happen to get some for myself, and you're welcome to share them, Mr. Norton. I'll throw something in an empty orange for Mrs. Norton if she'd prefer.
Settled. Kidneys it is.
And I'll let you know how settled it is after lunch.
And I'm not to clean Mr. Norton's workroom until after he leaves.
This room is to be officially known as my workroom.
It is. I fixed it up nicely, didn't I? You like it, don't you? Oh, it's so nice to have you doing your work at home.
You did, and I do, and you don't say.
Say the things you left out, and I'll catch up with you.
You fixed it up nice, and I like it swell, and what makes you think I can get any work done in this house?
Would you be happier if I went somewhere else and left you alone?
I would be happiest if you stayed right here and stayed still.
I won't say another word.
Good.
Dum, 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 dum. Oh, here are your matches.
Are you a mind reader?
Fundamental, my dear Watson. You had that funny, preoccupied look you have when you start thinking about filling your pipe.
The preoccupied look was because I was sure that I left a pipe here on the work table, and it doesn't seem to be here.
It's on the top shelf of the cupboard. I tidied up.
You tied it up?
Yeah.
And if you hadn't been here, I'd have wasted an hour looking for it.
But I am here.
Oh, so you are.
It doesn't distract you if I lean over and watch you work.
Oh, no.
Fine.
That doesn't distract me. Having someone breathe down the back of your neck is one of the best aids to concentration.
Dum, 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 dum. David, were you expecting someone this morning?
No, why?
I just wondered.
Now, look, darling, you just don't suddenly wonder if I'm expecting somebody this morning. I mean, out of a clear sky.
Looks like it was clouding up a bit.
Well, why would I be expecting a man out of a clouding sky?
Oh, well, maybe you aren't expecting him, but he's there.
Who's where?
A strange man standing round by the barn, just looking at things.
Let me see. Nobody we know.
I wonder what he wants.
Of course, I could pretend to be a mind reader and answer that.
I merely wondered.
Well, he might be a tree surgeon out drumming up trade or a lightning rod salesman.
Shouldn't we have lightning rods?
We should.
Well, then don't you think you better go out and see him?
We have lightning rods.
Oh.
But I'm not getting too much work done anyway. I'll go out.
You don't trust me with strange men?
I don't trust you with Greeks bearing gifts.
He doesn't look like a Greek.
Greeks who bear gifts never do.
Hello, Mr. Norton.
Oh, good morning.
Fine morning. Fine morning. My name is George Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds?
Glad to meet you. You weren't busy with something. I didn't interrupt you.
Well, I was busy, but the interruption started before you arrived.
Working to home, were you?
Yes.
Just recent married?
No, we've been married almost a year.
Where I stand, looking down the years, almost a year is mighty recent. Going to have a baby right soon?
Is there something that I can do for...
Maybe. I just dropped in to look around some. You bought the whole 88 acres from Jared, didn't you?
Yes,
You got more in your milk teeth if you drove a trade with Jared. Jared sure was tickled. Told me about it right afterwards.
He was, eh?
Yep. Said if you'd been darn fool enough to be willing to buy the place without the north lot with the grove on it, he wouldn't have sold it to you.
Oh, he wouldn't, eh?
Nope. Jared said he'd lived too long to invite a fool to be his boundary neighbor.
No? Look, Mr. Reynolds, there was something you wanted to...
I just dropped in to look around.
Just to look around?
Yep. Planning to do some farming?
Yep.
Cows?
Yep.
Chickens?
Yep.
A pig or two?
Yep.
Not too much, but enough for yourselves with some left over to sell.
Yep.
Smart.
Yep. Look, Mr. Reynolds, if it wouldn't be rude or seem inquisitive into other people's affairs, might I ask what your business is?
Eastbrook, Mr. Norton. That's my business.
Well, I didn't mean where. I meant, what is your business?
Oh, you forgot your pipe and tobacco, David. I brought them out to you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
You're Mrs. Norton?
Yeah.
I'm glad to meet you. Nice to have you in Eastbrook.
Thank you.
I'm George Reynolds. I just dropped by and your husband's been talking to me.
Well, you dropped by, but I wouldn't say that I've been doing the talking.
Hey, you're a short-worded man. You might have been born in Eastbrook. There's too many long-winded people in the world.
He doesn't look like a Greek.
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Hey, nice job you did on Jared's old house. Fine old house. Fine job. Yes, sir.
You like the house? That's nice.
I understand you're an architect, Mr. Norton.
David did the house over himself, Mr. Reynolds.
Times have changed. Times have changed. When you want to build a house today, you need an architect. Well, maybe it's a good thing.
It could be.
I think he is selling something.
So do I, but I can't figure out what.
Now, I suppose you wonder what I'm doing up here.
It was a question that had entered my mind, Mr. Reynolds.
Well, it all comes to this. I got a piece of building to do, and I need an architect.
You need an architect?
Yep.
Go on, David. Say something.
Well, I'm pretty busy at the moment,
Before
Mr.
you say no, I want you to hear me out. We're a self-sufficient community. We are.
We are?
Yep. When we got people right here in the community to do a job, it wouldn't be right to go somewhere else to get an architect.
It wouldn't?
No, sorry.
No.
Not when we got what you might call a native architect right here in the community, and a good one.
Well, thank you for the compliment, but I've gathered that people around here have thought of me as that city fellow.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, and I've been doing a little inventing this morning.
Well, anyway, I want to thank you.
It wasn't much of an invention, either. You got yourself a good home and a good piece of land, and your first crop... excuse me, ma'am, is going to be one of your own young'uns. That's putting your roots down. Heck, man, you're a part of this community. It isn't only right that you should have a hand in the putting up of a building that your son someday look at and say, my people built that.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Reynolds,
Go on, David. Why don't you do it?
Head that rocks the cradle rules the republic, Mr. Norton. You're not going to say no after what Mrs. Norton just said.
Well, I really
You just think it over and come down to my place in a day or two, and we'll look the site over. I'll be getting along. Well, goodbye, neighbors.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, I think he was nice. What sort of a building does he want you to do?
Probably a chicken coop or a gas station. He didn't say.
Your lunch is on the table.
We're coming. Well, even chicken houses have to be built. And he did call you a native and a neighbor. Probably won't take you much time. It is the neighborly thing to do.
Sit right down. I'm bringing it in. I seen you talking to George Reynolds.
Gertrude, who is Mr. Reynolds?
Mr. Big.
I mean, what does he do?
Runs Eastbrook.
Well, he ought to do a good job. He seems to know everybody's business.
Makes that his business, too.
Seems like a nice man.
He's most nice about a month before the first Tuesday in November. But even after the votes is in, he's a good man, George is.
I gather that George is a holder of political office in the community.
He's the first select man of the town. He's been
Since before the memory of living man, I gather.
About.
Select man. That's a strange title. What's it mean?
Why, it's just about all there is.
Sort of a president, mayor, controller of the budget, and chief bottle washer.
Oh. Well, tell about it. You going to?
What?
Build it. Didn't George ask you? That's what he was here for.
Well, this is reticent mind-your-own-business New England for you. Mr. Reynolds knows all my business, and Gertrude knows all of Reynolds' business.
Well, you're more of a mixing-up man to talk to than Jared Tucker. You ain't told me whether you're going to build it or not.
Well, maybe you can tell me what it is I'm going to build, Gertrude. Mr. Reynolds neglected to come to the point.
Any sensible person would have thought you'd known. The whole town's agog with it. They had a meeting last week and talked it over.
Yes, but what was it?
Some of them had a man up in Hartford they wanted. Warren, he said they ought to think about you. Reynolds said it was good business to have a man who really lived here build it. He'd have more of a conscience
Yes,
about
but
it.
Gertrude, what?
Some said it was a mite of money for a young man to be playing around with. And Jared Tucker said that Alexander Hamilton was no more than Mr. Norton's age when he started the Federal Reserve
Gertrude,
System.
Gertrude, please.
What?
Do you think you could manage to disclose the secret of what this building is?
Why, sakes alive, what else could we be talking about? The new school in the village. I'll get you coffee. They've been talking about it and meeting about it for going on 3 years. But George Reynolds ain't a quick man to spend $250,000, not him.
David, you thought Mr. Reynolds was trying to talk you into building a chicken house or gas station. Well, what's the matter? Wasn't your lunch good?
Oh, yeah, it was fine. Fine.
Well, what are you standing there looking out the window for?
I was looking out at our land. Looking at it with new eyes. You know, the freight terminal that Roger and I'll be building in Chicago will represent a lot of money. A lot more money than this will, and yet I have a feeling that building the schoolhouse in this community, here in Eastbrook, will be one of the most important jobs in my life.
Put your arm around me, David. You know, being natives, belonging to a community, is an important and a very wonderful thing.
You talked so much you clear forgot. You didn't tell me if you was going to build a school.
Build a school, Gertrude? Yes. Yes, sir, I'm going to build it.
He's just made an appointment with our grandson when our grandson is 8 years old. Dum 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 dum. La 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 la.
Some people maintain that young folks are too demanding today, but I don't share that opinion. Seems to me they don't ask a great deal in the way of entertainment, for example. Just look at a crowd of them gathered around a phonograph. With half a dozen records and with ice-cold Coke for refreshment, they can have a good time for hours. You know that as well as I do if you have any young folks in your household. And Coca-Cola at 5 cents is certainly a modest request, one that any fond parent can satisfy.
I guess that settles it. Mr. and Mrs. Norton, they're Eastbrookers now.
We'll all have to stop thinking of them as New Yorkers, won't we?
Certainly will. Think they're pleased?
I should say they are, Gertrude. Pleased as punch.
Well, Gertrude always says, if you're going to live someplace, you got to be a native.
You've the right idea there.
Those two sure seem happy. I never seen a young couple who needs other folks less. Each other's all they want. It's good.
But it's not always as easy as that, Gertrude. For instance, tomorrow night.
What happens?
Well, they have unexpected visitors. A gentleman and a lady.
Yes, go on.
And the lady, a famous actress, takes a very noticeable shine to David.
Don't blame her at all.
Well, Claudia. And how is she going to cope with it?
I'll be here tomorrow to find out. Gertrude don't like to miss a story like that. So long, Joe.
Goodbye, Gertrude.
May 27th, 1948, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. Our shows are always available through iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or Amazon. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Or even easier, go to my webpage, classicradio.stream. There you can stream the shows, learn about building a classic radio collection, contact me, find our social media links. That's at classicradio.stream. Please thank this station, support their advertisers, and tell your friends that great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.